is Beck and welcome to another unhaul. I'm getting rid of some more books today because I haven't done many book hauls lately, but I do like getting rid of stuff. So I do have a book stack here to go through. The first one on this stack that I'm getting rid of is Warm Bodies. This is a zombie book. It's like a retelling of Romeo and Juliet during an apocalypse. I love this, I love the movie, but I don't see myself going back and rereading this. That is not a reason that I get rid of a lot of my books, just the reason that I wanted to get rid of this one in particular. And I could go back and rewatch the movie if I really wanted to, so when I can actually go and donate it, I'm sure someone will pick it up and really enjoy it. I've got another older one, and that is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. This is one of the books that started me into reading, and actually on reflection it's one of the books that I liked that was a contemporary rather than science fiction fantasy, so it made me realise that I also liked contemporary books generally as well as sci-fi fantasy. So it was a great book at the time. Obviously it made me cry a lot. I liked the movie adaptation as well, but it is not time for me to hold on to it anymore because I've grown up past it. My reading tastes have changed drastically, so it's time to let this one go too. And now with another contemporary, but it's got a bit of a sci-fi mix thrown in as well, is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. This might be a surprise to people because I gave this book 5 stars when I read it, but when I was reviewing it at the time, I was running my blog and publishers often sent me books to review on my blog, and I didn't realise at the time they sent me an advanced reading copy, but they also sent me a final copy after release date as well, and I don't need more than one copy, and it's been sitting there for a long time, and the spine is blue and I want it to be orange, and my advanced reading copy has an orange spine, so I'm going to keep my ARC and then get rid of the final copy because I feel better donating final copies to secondhand bookstores than I feel donating ARCs, because at least if you're paying money you're getting an actual retail price book rather than advanced reading copies, which don't have the same value time-wise. They tend to deteriorate faster because obviously they're not made for retail, they're made for disposing of after you've read them as a reviewer. So this is why this one's leaving, but I do have a separate review on my blog for it. If you would like to read it, I've linked it down below, but it's not one that I wish to hold on to for ages and ages. So I have 2 advanced reading copies plus this. It's just a little bit too much, to be honest, so it needs to get going. I also have another zombie book, surprisingly, on this unhaul list, and that is The Boy and the Bridge. Now this is a book that is a sequel. It's like a companion sequel to The Girl with All the Gifts, and I do have that paperback somewhere and maybe I'll get rid of it in the future. At the moment though, I'm just getting rid of this one because I like this less than the first book in the series. I listened to them both on audio and the first one just felt and sounded to me so much better, and I liked the premise of the first one a little bit more as well as the characters. So this wasn't a bad book in its own form, but I just really liked the first one. So to compare them both, I'm happy to get rid of this one. It is a zombie apocalypse book. I can't really say too much about what the actual premise is, but the zombies in here are really interesting because the first one informs a lot of your knowledge about the zombie virus, and that is very science-based, whereas I find in a lot of apocalyptic books we only really get the fact that, oh by the way, they're zombies, and it's not really explored further than that. So this one with the world building in the previous book, it went really into detail and I really liked that, and it made the zombies called the Hungries, it made them so much scarier because you understood the foundations of how they were created and what their drive was, which was really scary too. So it was a really eerie book. I liked it as a zombie apocalypse book too. It was very unique, but I see no reason to hold on to the paperback for it. And now I should have 3 comics here, but I've got 2 because I've somehow misplaced one of them. Anyway, the one that I want to get rid of is Bitch Planet Volume 1 and Volume 2. I think it's still at my partner's house and I forgot to bring it back for this video. Oh well, it's still getting unhauled. Both 1 and 2 of this just weren't really for me. I talked about it in a reading wrap-up, and if I remember I'll link it, but ultimately I gave this a 2 stars. I thought it would tease out the feminist vibes in here in a more interesting way, but the way it did it and set everything up, I didn't care about the characters, I didn't care what they were doing, and I didn't really care too much about the world building. It all felt very stretched out and doing too much at once. And for a starting volume in a series, I expect a lot of setup to happen, but this was a bit alienating to me, as well as the vehemence of particular characters as well. Personally, it just wasn't for me, and that's why I'm getting rid of it. And then the other comic is The Wicked and the Divine, which I'm also getting rid of. I think I gave this a 4 stars, maybe a 3 when I first read it, but it was so convoluted and confusing that it probably does get better, and I've heard people talk it up, but honestly, I don't think I've got the energy and the effort required that is going to get invested in reading this. So I don't think I need to hold on to the first volume when someone else could like it. So that's ultimately why I'm getting rid of it too, and also to free up a little bit of shelf space. I've got an adult sci-fi that is very heavy on the world building up next, and that is Empire of Silence. I gave this 3 stars. I read it, I think, this year, so maybe I talked about it in a wrap up as well. If I do, I'll link it if I remember again, but this was one that was just really thick on the world building and it took a long time to get going. So I think I would like it if it was an audiobook, and it's a series, I think it's a trilogy, and I don't know if they're companion series or if they're continuations. So I think maybe I'll continue it, but I'll continue it on audio, and I find no value holding onto the physical copy because I'm not going to go back and revisit this. So I need to get rid of it. It's just taking up space and I'm not going to go back, so it needs to leave. Additionally, another book that I think I won't get to at all is Earthsea, or The Tales of Earthsea. This is the first 4 books in the series by Ursula K. Le Guin, and I know Ursula K. Le Guin is one of those fantasy authors that is quite renowned, but for my reading taste, I've really tried and I've gone back and read books that are more old school kind of fantasy, like old hat fantasy, that is where this genre began really, and they have just not been for me. I can't get my teeth into them, I can't grip onto them, I can't get invested, and that is what makes me really worried about The Tales of Earthsea, because I saw the Studio Ghibli adaptation for it and I just didn't like it. I stopped watching, and I love Studio Ghibli. So the fact that the adaptation didn't hold my attention, I'm worried about the way that this is going to hold my attention in a written format, because I've seen reviews of 3 stars, and so I thought, oh, I don't want to be the middle of the road. I want to give it 4 stars or higher and really enjoy it, and I don't think I'm going to do that. Maybe if I pick up the audiobooks sometime in the distant future, I will like it, but I don't feel any physical need to hold on to this because I keep looking at it on my TBR and unconsciously I keep pushing it to the side, and I've now noticed that I've been doing that, and so I don't think I'm going to read it. So it doesn't need to be held on to. I'm not going to read it, so it needs to get off my shelves. And now last of all, I have some hardcovers, which everyone in Australia is going to gasp because hardcovers are really hard to come by, or not hard to come by, but they're quite expensive, so I generally don't go out of my way to buy them because, one, I prefer a paperback because they're easy to read, and hardcovers do look pretty on my shelves, but they're really just difficult. So the fact that I'm getting rid of hardcovers is a little bit risque, but we're gonna do it anyway. I have this entire series in paperback, all personalized to me. I went to all the book launches for it, and for some reason I also have this hardcover. I do not remember why. Maybe I pre-ordered it or something and it's arrived before the book launch. Either way, it's Obsidio. It's the 3rd book in the Illuminae Files series, and this is a collection or a dossier of chats, of surveillance footage, of a whole bunch of different things where these kids go up against this government as a rebellion. They're on spaceships and they're fighting against this virus as well, so I like the way that it had found family in it. I ultimately gave this a 5 stars when I read it. I think I'd downgrade it now to a 4 on reflection. Either way though, I still really enjoyed it, but I do need to get rid of this because it's just a duplicate, and I checked and it's not personalized to me, whereas the others are. So it doesn't make sense to hold on to this and hold on to the rest of the series too. I need to just get rid of this and free up some space because it is very chunky. And then last on this list are 4 hardcovers. They are all a series, all of their covers are beautiful, but I've definitely outgrown them, and that is The Raven Cycle Quartet by Maggie Stiefvater. This is a very whimsical series that I almost dropped, and I just need to get rid of it now. It is YA that was really interesting at the time, but again, I don't feel any need to go back and reread it. Book 4 kind of disappointed me as well, and book 3 was a little bit difficult for me personally to get through just because of the pacing stuff. The first 2 in the series I really enjoyed though, so I'm more than happy to pass these on, and I hope they go to a really good home afterwards. But there you go, that is the end of this unhaul video. If you've got rid of books lately, let me know. I find it therapeutic. I don't know if it's stressful or therapeutic for everyone though. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll come chat to you down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.